Imagine the year is 1939 and you're standing in a smoky Stockholm study, the air thick with the scratch of quills and the distant rumble of war. A Swedish parliamentarian, E.G.C. Brandt, smirks as he pens a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. His choice, Adolf Hitler. Yes, that Hitler. The man whose tanks are already chewing through Europe's borders like a plague of iron locusts. This isn't a mistake, it's a middle finger to the Nobel Committee, a satirical jab so sharp it could cut through the hypocrisy of the era's diplomacy. Brandt's letter drips with irony, praising Hitler's peaceful unification of Germany and Austria, as if conquest were a polite handshake. You can almost hear the laughter in his words, bitter as the ash falling over Poland. But the joke lands like a bomb. The Nobel's glow meant to honour humanity's best flickers under the shadow of a swastika. This nomination isn't just absurd, it's a scream into the void of a world spiralling toward chaos. Picture the committee's faces, pale jaws clenched, reading a name that smells of gunpowder and dread. Brandt's stunt exposes the fragility of ideals when power plays dress up as peace. By the time he withdraws the nomination, the damage is done. The world's watching and peace feels like a word stolen from a saner time. Like and share, if you've ever seen a prank backfire this spectacularly, what's the wildest stunt you've heard of? You're in Oslo, 1939, where the Nobel Committee's chambers hum with tension thicker than the fog outside. News of Hitler's nomination for the Peace Prize hits like a grenade in a library. The room's a mess of crumpled papers and hissed arguments, as if the walls themselves recoil from the blasphemy. E.G.C. Brandt's satirical nomination has spiralled into a public relations nightmare. Imagine a viral tweet gone so wrong it sparks a riot. Newspapers scream headlines, their ink still wet with outrage. Hitler for peace madness. You can smell the fear in the air sharp as burnt coffee as committee members scramble to contain the fallout. Across Europe, radios crackle with reports of his armies carving up Poland. Yet here's this letter claiming he's a peacemaker. It's like nominating a wolf for best shepherd. The public's fury is palpable. Letters flood in, some scrawled with curses, others pleading for the Nobel's sanctity. Brandt's joke meant to mock appeasement has instead exposed the world's desperation to cling to illusions of peace. Committee heads sweat under their collars, knowing this scandal could taint the prize forever. You stand in the chaos hearing whispers of war through the window, wondering how a single name could unravel so much. Got a story of a scandal that shook the world? Drop it in the comments. Step into Moscow, 1945, where the air is sharp with frost and fear, and the Kremlin's shadow looms like a grim sentinel. The war's end is near, but victory's price stains the snow red. Amid this some diplomat with a twisted sense of irony, nominates Joseph Stalin for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, Stalin, whose purges have left millions as ghosts in the gulags, is pitched as a peacemaker for his role in crushing Hitler. Imagine the gall, a man who starves his own people hailed as a hero because his tanks rolled alongside the Allies. The nomination letter, sealed with wax and delusion, praises his unifying strength as if terror were just tough love. You can almost smell the ink sour with hypocrisy as it's scribbled in a dimly lit office, the clink of vodka glasses drowning out distant screams. The Nobel Committee, already scarred by Hitler's nomination, must have choked on their coffee piece from a man whose handshake feels like a noose. This isn't just absurd, it's a cosmic prank, like giving a pyromaniac a medal for firefighting. Soviet propaganda churns painting Stalin as a saviour, while survivors of his camps whisper truths too dangerous to speak. You stand in Moscow's icy streets, hearing the wind carry rumours of his nod, each gust colder than the last. The world's still bleeding, yet someone thought this was peace. The irony stings worse than the frostbite. What's the most outrageous award you've seen handed out? Share it below, and let's laugh at the madness. It's 1948, and Moscow's paranoia is thicker than the smog over its chimneys. Joseph Stalin, the man who turned dissent into a death sentence, gets another Nobel Peace Prize nomination. Twice in 3 years, talk about a dictator's encore. This time it's for his stabilising post-war leadership, as if gulags and secret police were just firm parenting. Picture the scene: a Soviet apparatchik, sweat beading on his brow, types a nomination letter under a flickering bulb, knowing one wrong word could land him in Siberia. The paper smells of fear and ink, each sentence a tightrope walk between flattery and survival. Stalin's cult of personality is in full swing his face. On every poster is name a prayer or a curse, depending who's listening. You're there in the Kremlin's echoey halls, where whispers of his nomination vanish like dissenters in the night. The Nobel Committee, already reeling from 1945, must have thought this a sick sequel, like nominating a wolf for Best Sheep Herder twice. The world's rebuilding, but Stalin's piece is a graveyard silence enforced by fear. Sarcasm drips from the absurdity a man who crushed freedom pitched as its champion. Modern parallel. It's like crowning a dictator employee of the month for not burning the office down. You hear the clatter of typewriters churning out lies and feel the chill of a world where truth is a luxury. Got a story of someone rewarded for all the wrong reasons? Drop it in the comments and let's unpack the lunacy. It's 1935 and Rome's streets pulse with fascist fervour banners snapping in the wind like the jaws of a hungry beast. Benito Mussolini Il Duce struts onto the world stage, his chest puffed with imperial dreams, and get this, someone nominates him for the Nobel Peace Prize. Peace. The man's about to invade Abyssinia, his tanks poised to crush Ethiopia's sovereignty. Yet here's a nomination letter praising his diplomatic finesse. You're in a Roman office, the air heavy with cigar smoke and hubris. As a lackey types up this farce, each keystroke a mockery of peace. The letter hails Mussolini's role in European stability, as if bullying neighbours counts as handshakes. Picture the irony, his black shirts march fists raised while diplomats call this order. It's like nominating a bank robber for community service because he planned the heist well. The Nobel Committee, still stinging from past scandals, must have winced at this one. Mussolini's peace is a loaded gun, cocked and aimed. You hear the roar of fascist rallies outside their chants, drowning out the screams of those who dared dissent. The nomination's a propaganda stunt wrapped in silk but reeking of gunpowder. Sarcasm drips from the absurdity he charmed Europe, then invaded it like a conman selling peace with a bayonet. Modern parallel. Imagine a dictator pitching himself as a humanitarian on social media, smile, gleaming tanks idling. The ink dries on the nomination, but the world smells the blood on his hands. Got a tale of someone masking chaos as kindness? Share it below, and let's laugh at the gall you're in Oslo, late 1930s, where the Nobel Committee's chambers feel like a crypt heavy with the weight of a tarnished legacy. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin, and now Mussolini have turned the Peace Prize into a punchline, its shine dimming under the shadow of war. Picture the scene: committee members huddle around a table, papers strewn like fallen leaves, their faces etched with dread. The air smells of old books and desperation as they grapple with a prize meant to honour humanity's best, now mocked by tyrants' names. Each nomination: Hitler's satire, Stalin's grim irony, Mussolini's imperialist swagger, lands like a crack in a cathedral's stained glass. You hear the distant wail of air raid sirens, a reminder that peace is a word stretched thin by politics. The committee's scrambling to salvage credibility, rejecting these names, but the damage festers. It's like hosting an award show where the nominees keep setting the stage on fire. Sarcastic whispers float peace tell that to the bombed villages. The Nobel's glow, once a beacon, now flickers like a candle in a storm. Modern analogy. Think of a prestigious gala ruined by viral scandals, trending for all the wrong reasons. You stand in the room, feeling the chill of a world unravelling where ideals buckle under power's weight. The committee's pens pause, but the war drums beat on. What's the worst PR disaster you've seen derail a good cause? Drop it in the comments and let's unpack the chaos. You're in Berlin, 1939, where the air crackles with fervour, the streets pulsing with swastika flags snapping like vipers in the wind. Adolf Hitler's name, scrawled on a Nobel Peace Prize nomination, casts a shadow longer than the Reichstag's spires. That satirical nod by E.G.C. Brandt, meant to mock appeasement, has become a ghost haunting the prize's legacy. Picture the scene: torchlit rallies, raw boots thud in unison, and the word peace twists into a grotesque joke. The nomination, withdrawn in disgrace, lingers like a stain on the Nobel's halo, a reminder of how close chaos came to claiming virtue's crown. You smell the smoke of burning books, Hear the chants drowning out cries from shadowed alleys. It's as if the world's holding its breath, knowing each peaceful speech from Hitler hides a dagger. Sarcasm drips a Peace Prize. More like a chaos trophy handed to a man whose idea of unity is a blitzkrieg. The Nobel Committee in far-off Oslo shudders their papers trembling as they bury Brandt's stunt. But the damage is done. Every future award now carries a whisper of this scandal, a crack in the prize's sanctity. Modern parallel. It's like a viral meme that taints a brand forever trending for infamy. You stand amid Berlin's frenzy, feeling the weight of a world where ideals bend to power. The nomination's ghost sneers unkillable as tanks rumble toward Poland. Got a scandal that refused to die. Share it below, and let's dissect the wreckage. Step into the Kremlin 1945 and 1948, where the air is thick with dread, and Joseph Stalin's shadow looms like a guillotine. His 2 Nobel Peace Prize nominations for stabilising the world through wartime alliances and post-war dominance clash grotesquely with the blood staining his hands. You hear the clink of chains in distant gulags where millions vanish, yet diplomats dared call him a peacemaker. Picture a nomination letter, its ink dark as the purges, praising Stalin's iron grip as unity. It's like awarding a wolf for guarding sheep, then doing it again when the flock's half gone. The Soviet machine churns out propaganda, plastering his face on posters while secret police silence whispers of truth. You're in Moscow's frozen streets, where fear tastes sharper than the wind, and every citizen knows a wrong word could mean exile or worse. The Nobel Committee, battered by Hitler's scandal, must have gagged at these nominations, their ideals mocked by a man who crushed freedom underfoot. Sarcasm bites peace. Sure, if you mean the silence of graves. Modern analogy. It's like giving a dictator Employee of the Month for keeping the office terrified. The nominations born of political naivety or cynical ploy leave a chill deeper than Siberia's frost. You feel the weight of a world where power rewrites virtue, where Stalin's smirk outlasts his victim's screams. What's the worst case of rewarding the wrong guy you've seen? Drop it in the comments and let's unravel the absurdity. You're in Rome 1935, where the air hums with fascist bravado and Benito Mussolini's ego fills the Piazza Venezia like a storm cloud. His Nobel Peace Prize nomination for stabilising Europe during the Italo-Abyssinian crisis lands like a cruel joke as his troops sharpen bayonets for Ethiopia's conquest. Picture Il Duce on his balcony chest, puffed voice booming to adoring crowds, while a nomination letter paints him as a diplomat. The ink smells of propaganda, each word a strut of arrogance masking imperial hunger. You hear the roar of fascist rallies, boots stomping in unison as black shirts salute their peacemaker who dreams of empire. It's like nominating a fox for best henhouse guard while feathers fly. Mussolini's swagger, those jutting jaws, that theatrical scowl charms Europe's appeasers, but his tanks tell the truth rolling toward African soil. The Nobel Committee, still reeling from Hitler's nomination, must have groaned their ideals trampled by another tyrant's boots. Sarcasm cuts deep peace through conquest. That's a bold pitch even for a dictator with a flair for drama. You stand amid the crowd, choking on the heat of their fervour, feeling the ground shake with lies. Modern parallel. It's like a warlord going viral for humanitarian vibes while planning his next invasion. The nomination's a glittering mask, but beneath it blood stains the horizon. Got a story of someone who fooled the world with charm? Share it below and let's expose the showmanship. Imagine a dimly lit office in 1930s Europe where the air is thick with cigarette smoke and the weight of a world teetering on collapse. The Nobel Peace Prize nominations for Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini weren't accidents, they were born of motives as tangled as barbed wire. Some nominators, like Brandt, with Hitler-wielded satire, their pens dripping with scorn to mock appeasement's folly. Others backing Stalin or Mussolini were swayed by politics or naivety, believing tyrants could pass as peacemakers in a desperate age. You see their letters sealed with dread, each one a gamble in a game of power. The typewriter's clatter echoes like a warning as nominators, parliamentarians, academics bet on flattery or irony to make a point. It's like posting a prank nomination online only to watch it spiral into infamy. The Nobel Committee, caught in this storm, sifts through these names, their hands trembling with the prize's fading honour. You feel the chill of their choices back a dictator, and you're complicit. Reject them and you risk their wrath. Sarcasm bites peace. Sure, if you squint past the purges, invasions and propaganda, modern analogy, it's like a viral stunt gone wrong, trending for all the worst reasons. You're there watching ink dry on letters that twist truth into knots, hearing war's distant rumble. These nominators, cynics, dreamers or pawns, gambled with history, and the prize paid the price. What's the wildest motive you've seen behind a bad decision? Drop it in the comments and let's untangle the chaos. You're in Oslo streets 1939, where the wind carries the sting of outrage and the sharp tang of newsprint. Words out, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin and Benito Mussolini tyrants all have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. The public's not buying it. Crowds gather, their shouts echoing off stone buildings as newspapers scream headlines like "Peace for Tyrants Madness." You smell the ink of fresh pamphlets, see fists clutching letters demanding the Nobel Committee's accountability. It's like a Twitter storm in the age of telegrams, a viral backlash before the internet. Hitler's satirical nomination, Stalin's grim irony and Mussolini's imperial posturing have turned the prize into a laughingstock, or worse, a tragedy. Picture the chaos. A woman in a worn coat burns a swastika emblazoned paper, her face twisted with fury. A professor pens an editorial, his quill snapping under pressure. The air hums with betrayal as if the word peace has been stolen and defiled. Sarcasm cuts through peace. Tell that to the bombed villages, the gulag, prisoners, the invaded lands. The Nobels shine, once a beacon, now flickers under this public roar like a candle in a gale. Modern parallel, it's like a rigged award show trending for all the wrong reasons, with Cancel Nobel scrawled across history's feed. You stand in the crowd, feeling the pulse of defiance, hearing the distant wail of war sirens. The public's outcry isn't just noise, it's a demand for truth in a world drowning in lies. Got a story of a crowd rising up against absurdity. Share it below and let's amplify the uproar. It's the late 1930s and you're in a dusty Oslo archive where forgotten Nobel Peace Prize nomination letters gather cobwebs like secrets. Beyond the infamous trio, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, lie lesser-known nominees, their names whispered in shadows, each a bizarre footnote in the era's moral chaos. Take Neville Chamberlain, nominated in 1938 for his Munich Agreement, a peace deal that handed Czechoslovakia to Hitler like a gift-wrapped sacrifice. Or consider the shadowy figures diplomats, fringe activists pitched for their fleeting moments of stability in a world unravelling. You smell the mildew of old paper, hear the creak of a filing cabinet revealing these oddities. The nominations feel like bets placed in a casino of despair, each one a gamble on hope or cynicism. Picture a letter praising Chamberlain, its ink fading as his appeasement crumbles. Another touts a minor official who brokered a truce that lasted days. Is like nominating a band-aid for curing a plague. The Nobel Committee, battered by big-name scandals, barely notices these quieter absurdities, yet they sting all the same. Sarcasm bites peace. Sure, if you ignore the tanks rolling in, modern analogy. It's like a guest list for a gala gone wrong, filled with names nobody remembers but everybody regrets. You stand in the archive feeling the weight of a world where good intentions paved paths to ruin. These forgotten nominees, lost in history's noise, prove even the obscure can haunt. Know a random figure who got more credit than they deserved. Drop it in the comments and let's unearth the weirdness. You're in Europe mid-1930s where the air tastes of ash and dread and the world feels like a chessboard where every move is a betrayal. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini for the Nobel Peace Prize aren't just scandals. They're symptoms of an era where morality twists like smoke in a storm. Picture cities scarred by economic collapse, borders trembling under the march of boots and diplomats grasping at straws labelled peace. You hear the crackle of radios spitting propaganda, each voice claiming virtue while bombs fall. The Nobel's nomination process, meant to honour hope, becomes a mirror to this chaos, reflecting a world where tyrants are mistaken for saviours. Imagine a nomination letter for Mussolini, its wax seal gleaming while Ethiopia burns. Another for Stalin, penned as his purges silence millions. It's like casting villains as heroes in a reality show nobody asked for. The moral compass spins wildly. Appeasement is called diplomacy. Conquest is called stability. Sarcasm cuts deep peace. Sure, if you squint past the barbed wire and blood, you stand in a shattered street, feeling the ground quake with the era's desperation, where ideals crumble like bombed cities. Modern parallel. It's like a social media feed where lies trend louder than truth and everyone's complicit. The nominations aren't just mistakes. They're proof of a world unmoored where peace becomes a word screamed into the void. What's the most chaotic time you've seen where right and wrong got tangled? Share it below and let's wade through the madness. It's the late 1940s and you're in Oslo, where the Nobel Committee's chambers glow faintly like a lighthouse battered by a decade's storms. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini have left the Peace Prize's reputation in tatters, but here it begins to mend one careful choice at a time. Picture the scene: committee members' faces lined with exhaustion, sift through new nominations, their pens hesitant, haunted by past scandals. The air smells of fresh ink and resolve as they seek winners who can restore the prize's shine. After the war's end, names like the Quakers in 1947 honoured for humanitarian aid start to rebuild trust. You hear the rustle of papers, each one a step away from the era's moral wreckage. It's like a brand clawing back from a PR nightmare, slowly regaining its soul. The committee learns to sidestep political traps, focusing on figures who embody peace without blood on their hands. Sarcasm lingers, took long enough to ditch the dictators, didn't it? The prize's light flickers but endures its glow, warming a world still scarred by war. Modern analogy. Think of a company bouncing back after a viral scandal, proving itself with actions, not words. You stand in the chamber, feeling the weight of their choices, hearing the world's cautious applause. The Nobel's recovery isn't just a win, it's a defiance of the chaos that nearly broke it. Got a story of something rising from the ashes of a mess? Drop it in the comments and let's celebrate the comeback. You're in Oslo years after the 1930s, but the Nobel Peace Prize still carries a ghostly chill, haunted by the names of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini. Their nominations, though long buried, linger like whispers in history's corners, casting doubt on the prize's once pristine glow. Picture a quiet archive where yellowed letters sit under flickering lamplight, each one a reminder of when peace was twisted into a cruel jest. You smell the dust of old paper, feel the weight of a world that nearly let tyrants steal virtue's crown. The public hasn't forgotten editorials. Still sneer, old men at cafes mutter about the scandal, their voices sharp as broken glass. It's like a scandal that trends forever online, resurfacing to taint every new winner's shine. The Nobel Committee now cautious tiptoes through nominations, but the past clings like damp rot. Sarcasm bites peace. Sure, if you ignore the bombs, purges and invasions those names unleashed. Each mention of Hitler's satire, Stalin's irony or Mussolini's swagger stings a reminder of how close chaos came to claiming the prize. You stand in the archive hearing echoes of 1930s protests, feeling the unease of a legacy scarred. Modern parallel. It's like a brand dogged by a viral misstep, forever fighting its own shadow. The nomination's dark echoes aren't just history, they're a warning of what happens when ideals bend to power. Got a scandal that just won't fade? Share it below and let's haunt the comments with its ghost. It's the 1930s and you're in a smoke-filled European embassy where diplomats pen Nobel Peace Prize nominations under flickering lamps, their hands trembling with cynicism or desperation. The names Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini aren't just mistakes. They're the jagged edge of diplomacy's double-edged sword, where flattery masks fear and hope courts disaster. Picture a French attaché nominating Mussolini, his words dripping with appeasement, as if praising a tyrant could halt his tanks. Or a Soviet loyalist pushing Stalin his letter, a plea to curry favour in a world of shifting alliances. You smell the wax sealing these doomed letters, hear the scratch of pens like a countdown to war. It's like lobbying for a tainted award knowing the spotlight burns. The Nobel Committee, drowning in these political gambits, sifts through names that reek of compromise. Sarcasm cuts peace. Sure, if you call grovelling to dictators a strategy. Some nominators believed in stability, others mocked it, but all played a game where truth was the first casualty. You feel the tension in the room, the air thick with unspoken dread, as each nomination risks legitimizing horror. Modern analogy. It's like influencers hyping a toxic brand for clout, only to watch it implode. The era's diplomacy, a dance of lies and half-truths, turned the Nobel into a pawn, its ideals slashed by ambition's blade. What's the shadiest deal you've seen dressed up as virtue? Drop it in the comments and let's expose the double edge. You're standing in the heart of 1930s Europe, where the air reeks of smoke and deceit, and the Nobel Peace Prize nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini reveal their true faces, monsters cloaked in the farce of peace. Picture Hitler's name on a nomination letter, its ink fresh as swastikas rise over Berlin, while his unification means tanks crushing borders. Stalin's nod praises his wartime alliances, yet the Gulag screams echo louder than any treaty. Mussolini's nomination lauds his diplomacy, but Ethiopia's burning villages tell a different story. You hear the roar of fascist rallies, the clatter of Soviet trains hauling prisoners, the thud of Italian boots on foreign soil, all while these men are called peacemakers. It's like selling a horror movie as a rom-com and the audience is the world. The contrast is grotesque nomination letters glow with praise, but the truth is blood and barbed wire. Sarcasm bites peaceful tyrants. That's a harder sell than a snowball in hell. You feel the ground tremble with their lies, smell the gunpowder masking their promises. Modern parallel. It's like influencers hyping a dictator's charity while the world burns in their livestream's background. The nominees' true faces, ruthless power-hungry, mock the Nobel's ideals, turning hope into a cruel punchline. You stand amid this hypocrisy, hearing the distant wail of war, knowing peace was just a word they twisted. What's the worst case of someone hiding their true colours behind a noble mask? Share it below and let's rip off the disguise. You're in Oslo, late 1930s, inside the Nobel Committee's chambers, where the air is heavy with the weight of a world at war and the burden of judging peace. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini sit like poison on the table. Each name a test of the committee's resolve. Picture their faces etched with worry as they sift through letters under flickering candlelight, the distant boom of war shaking their resolve. They're tasked with honouring hope, but these names, synonyms for tyranny, turn their mission into a nightmare. You smell the wax of sealed envelopes, hear the scratch of pens hesitating over rejections. It's like judging a rigged contest where every choice risks disaster. The committee knows accept these nominations and they legitimise horror, reject them and they face diplomatic wrath. Sarcasm stings peace. Try selling that when bombs are the soundtrack. The pressure is crushing global powers, watch their influence creeping like shadows across the room. Modern analogy. It's like a panel stuck judging a tainted award show, knowing the world's tweeting every move. You feel their dread, the weight of preserving the Nobel's soul while war rages outside. They push back, rejecting the tyrants, but the burden lingers, a reminder of how fragile ideals are under power's glare. The committee's choice is a quiet defiance, but the cost haunts them. Got a story of someone stuck making an impossible call? Drop it in the comments, and let's share the weight. You're in Oslo, late 1930s, where the Nobel Committee's chambers feel like a stage under the world's unrelenting glare. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini for the Peace Prize have turned every decision into a spectacle with global eyes boring down like searchlights on a prison break. Picture the scene committee members hunch over desks, their faces pale as newsreels flicker, with images of swastikas, purges and invasions. You hear the hum of telegraphs spitting out demands from capitals, smell the tension, sharp as burnt wiring. Every move is scrutinised. Accept these names, and the prize becomes a tyrant's trophy. Reject them, and risk alienating powers in a world already fracturing. It's like a livestream trial where every verdict trends with hashtags of outrage. The public's voice roars through letters and protests their ink, and shouts a chorus of disbelief. Peace for them. Sarcasm cuts. Yeah, peace if you call terror a handshake. Diplomats, journalists and citizens watch their expectations a noose tightening around the committee's ideals. Modern parallel, think of a reality show judged in real time by a global audience, every misstep memed into infamy. You stand in the chamber feeling the weight of those watching eyes, hearing war's distant rumble through the walls. The Nobel's sanctity hangs by a thread, its fate decided under a spotlight that burns. What's the most intense scrutiny you've seen someone face? Share it below and let's feel the heat of the world's gaze. It's the 1950s and you're in Oslo where the Nobel Peace Prize stands, scarred but stronger a phoenix rising from the ashes of its darkest decade. The nominations of Hitler, Stalin and Mussolini left wounds, scandals that nearly shattered the prize's soul, but they also forged lessons etched in history's stone. Picture the committee now wiser, sifting through names with a caution born of pain, their hands steady as they honour figures like Albert Schweitzer in 1952, whose humanitarian work feels like a cleansing flame. You smell fresh ink on nomination letters, hear the soft clink of coffee cups as hope creeps back into the room. The era's chaos, war, tyranny, betrayal taught the Nobel to guard its heart, rejecting power's lure for true peacemakers. Sarcasm lingers, took a few dictators to figure that out, huh? The prize's legacy isn't just its winners, it's the resilience to endure mockery and emerge unbowed. Modern analogy. It's like a brand clawing back from a viral crash, proving its worth with every hard-won step. You stand in the chamber feeling the weight of those lessons, the air lighter but still tinged with the past's ghosts. The nomination scars remain a reminder that even ideals must fight to survive. The Nobel's glow, dimmed by scandal, now burns brighter for it. What's a comeback story that taught the world something big? Drop it in the comments and let's celebrate the grit. You're in Canton 1801, where the air is thick with opium smoke and the tang of salt from the South China Sea. In a dim brothel, Ching Shih, a woman with eyes sharp as daggers, navigates a world of leering sailors and fleeting coins. She's no victim, her wit cuts through the chaos like a blade. By a twist of fate, she catches the eye of Ching Shih, a pirate lord, and marries into his red flag fleet. When he dies in 1807, you see her step from silk to swords, seizing command of his empire. Picture the docks, waves, crash ropes creak, and Ching Shih's voice, calm lethal, rallies hundreds of ships. She's not just a widow, she's a queen forging an empire bigger than most navies. Gritty humour land, she traded perfume for gunpowder and the sea trembled. You smell the tar and sweat, hear the clink of coins as her legend grows. It's like a start-up CEO rising from the streets. Only her boardroom is a deck slick with salt. Her rise shocks the men who thought her weak sarcasm bites underestimated her big mistake. Modern parallel, think a woman outsmarting a corporate boys' club, but with cannons. Ching Shih's story begins here, a brothel's shadow birthing a pirate's son. What's the boldest comeback you've seen? Drop it in the comments and let's salute the defiance. You're on the South China Sea 1807. And the horizon is choked with 500 sails, Ching Shih's red flag fleet, a floating empire that makes navies sweat. Picture the scene, waves churn, cannons gleam, and her flag blood red snaps in the wind like a warning. This isn't just a fleet, it's a nation 80,000 pirates strong, plundering trade routes and defying empires. You hear the creak of timbers, smell gunpowder thick as fog as her ships swarm like wolves. Ching Shih rules from her flagship, her orders sharp as a cutlass, outwitting Chinese, British, and Portuguese fleets. It's like a start-up with cannons scaling faster than any empire could dream. Sarcasm stings, thought pirates were just drunk sailors meet the queen who ran the seas like a CEO. Her fleet's discipline, code stricter than any navy's, keeps chaos at bay. Modern parallel. Imagine a tech mogul commanding a city-sized app, but it's ships and swords. You feel the deck sway, hear her voice cut through the storm, a woman rewriting the rules of power. The red flag fleet isn't just a force, it's her will made manifest, terrifying and awe-inspiring. Know a leader who turned the game upside down? Share it below and let's hail the legend. You're aboard Ching Shih's flagship in 1808, the South China Sea roiling beneath you, the air sharp with salt and the crack of her orders. Her red flag fleet. 500 ships strong isn't a lawless mob, it's bound by her ironclad pirate code stricter than any navy's rulebook. Picture the deck pirates, scarred and sunbaked, snap to attention as she decrees death for theft or disobedience, yet freedom for captured women who join or leave. You hear the creak of ropes, smell the tar, as her voice slices through the chaos, enforcing order where chaos should reign. Steal from the fleet, your head rolls, harm a prisoner. Same deal. It's like an HR policy from hell, but it works. Her empire thrives on discipline. Sarcasm bites thought pirates were party animals. Ching Shih's running a tighter ship than your boss. Her code protects the weak, a rare mercy in a brutal world, making her both feared and revered. You feel the deck sway, see her eyes scan for defiance. Knowing one misstep means the plank. Modern parallel. Imagine a CEO whose employee handbook is enforced with cannons. This code isn't just rules, it's her will carved into the sea's heart. What's the strictest rule you've seen keep chaos in check? Share it below and let's toast to order in the madness. It's 1807 and you are on a storm-tossed ship in the South China Sea where Ching Shih seals a vow that shocks even her hardened pirates. After Zheng Yi's death, she marries Chung Po Tsai, her adopted son, and trusted lieutenant, a move as strategic as it is scandalous. Picture the scene: waves crash, lanterns sway, and their vows are sworn under skies dark as gunpowder. You smell the salt, hear the crew's uneasy murmurs, but her gaze sharp as a cutlass silences doubt. This isn't love, it's power cementing a grip on the red flag fleet. The marriage binds Chung's loyalty, making them a pirate power couple that empires dread. Sarcasm stings family drama. Try ruling 80,000 pirates with it. You feel the ship sway, see lightning flash as she claims her throne beside him. Modern analogy. It's like a corporate merger sealed with a handshake and a sword. Her choice defies norms, turning whispers of scandal into roars of respect. Eerie suspense lingers. Was it ambition or something darker sealed under those stormy skies? Ching Shih's marriage isn't just a bond, it's a crown forged in defiance. Know a bold move that rewrote the rules. Drop it in the comments, and let's cheer the audacity. You're on the South China Sea in 1809, where the horizon burns with cannon fire, and Ching Shih's red flag fleet faces off against the might of empires. Picture the chaos. Chinese, British and Portuguese navies converge their ships, bristling with guns, only to meet her armada of 500 vessels, a floating fortress of defiance. You smell the acrid smoke, hear the thunder of cannons as her pirates swarm like hornets. Ching Shih stands on her flagship, her voice cutting through the storm, outsmarting admirals with tactics sharper than their swords. Her fleet doesn't just fight, it dances, weaving through volleys, sinking foes with ruthless precision. Sarcasm Land's navies thought they'd crush her. She smirked and sent them to the seabed. You feel the deck shudder, taste salt and gunpowder as her ships turn imperial dreams to wreckage. Modern parallel. It's like a scrappy startup crushing corporate giants but with bloodier stakes. Her victories mock the powers that underestimated her, their flags sinking while hers flies high. Cinematic thrills, pulse cannon smoke chokes the air and her laughter echoes like a dare. Ching Shih's fleet isn't just winning, it's rewriting the rules of war. Know a time someone beat the odds against giants? Share it below and let's roar for the underdog. It's 1809 and you're aboard Ching Shih's flagship, cloaked in fog on the South China Sea where her genius makes her fleet untouchable. Empires. Chinese, British, Portuguese hunt her, their ships slicing through waves, but she's a ghost, her 500 vessels slipping through traps like shadows. Picture her at the helm, eyes narrowed, plotting moves that leave admirals cursing. You hear the creak of sails, feel the damp mist as her fleet vanishes only to strike elsewhere. Her strategy, part chess, part sorcery, keeps her unsinkable, outwitting navies with feints and ambushes. Sarcasm stings, thought you'd catch her. She's playing 4D chess while you're stuck at checkers. Modern parallel, she's a grandmaster outgaming empires like a tech mogul hacking a rival's playbook. You smell the salt, hear her orders snap like a whip, each move a middle finger to her foes. Suspense grips you. How does she vanish in plain sight? Her fleet's not just ships, it's her mind a labyrinth no navy can crack. Ching Shih's legend grows, with every escape her name a curse on imperial lips. Got a story of someone outsmarting the unbeatable? Drop it in the comments, and let's cheer the mastermind. It's 1810 and you're in a sweltering tent near Canton where Ching Shih, pirate queen of the South China Sea, faces Qing dynasty officials to negotiate her exit from a life of plunder. Picture the scene lanterns flicker, casting shadows on silk walls, as she sits unflinching, her eyes sharp as the cutlass at her side. She's not here to beg. Her 1,500 ships and 80,000 pirates loom like a storm outside. You smell incense and sweat, hear the nervous quill scratches of officials as she demands amnesty, keeping her wealth and freedom. They cave awed by her power, granting terms no pirate ever dreamed of. Sarcasm lands outgunned empires. She walked away richer than them all. This isn't surrender. It's a checkmate, her empire intact as she swaps the helm for a quiet life. You feel the tension see her smirk as she outplays men who thought her cornered. Modern parallel. It's like a CEO retiring with a golden parachute, but she wrote the terms with a cannon's backing. Her negotiation, bold as her raid, cements her as untouchable. Empowering and sly, Ching Shih exits the seas on her terms, leaving empires stunned. Know someone who walked away from a fight on top, share it below, and let's toast the victory. You're on the South China Sea years after 1810, where the waves still whisper Ching Shih's name, her shadow lingering like mist over the water. Her red flag fleet is gone, but her legend, a woman rising from brothel to pirate queen, burns brighter than any empire's flag. Picture sailors swapping tails, her 1,500 ships, her strict code, her defiance of navies. You hear the creak of distant junk, smell salt as her story haunts the horizon. She retired rich, untouchable, a feat no pirate matched her name, a curse or prayer on every captain's lips. Sarcasm stings, thought pirates fade. She's the CEO who retired on top, rewriting history. Modern analogy. Imagine a mogul whose brand still trends long after they've left the game. Her legacy isn't just power, it's proof a woman could outwit empires in a man's world. You feel the sea's pull, hear echoes of her commands, haunting yet inspiring. Ching Shih's story, carved in cannon smoke and blood, endures as a middle finger to those who dared limit her. What's a legacy that outlives its maker? Drop it in the comments and let's honour the wave she stirred. You're in Rome, 38 CE, where the sun glints off marble grander than most senators' homes, built not for a man but for Caligula's horse, Incitatus. Picture the stable polished columns, gleam purple blankets drape the beast, and slaves scurry with oats fit for a king. You smell hay and incense, hear the horse's hooves clop on floors smoother than your own. Emperor Caligula, with a grin that teeters between jest and madness, decrees this palace for his prize steed, a middle finger to Rome's elite. It's like a CEO splurging on a penthouse for their dog, but with togas and tyranny. The air hums with whispers. Is he mocking the Senate or losing his grip? Sarcasm bites a horse with a better crib than you. That's Rome's new normal. The opulence is absurd, yet chilling, a sign of an emperor who bends reality to his whim. You stand in the stable, feeling the weight of Rome's decadence, seeing Incitatus snort as if he knows he's the star. Modern parallel, think as a viral stunt where a pet gets VIP treatment while the world gapes. Caligula's extravagance isn't just excess, it's a dare to question his power. Got a story of over-the-top indulgence? Share it below, and let's laugh at the madness. It's 39 CE and you're in Rome's Senate, where the air is thick with tension and the faint whiff of horse. Rumour swirls Emperor Caligula has named his steed Incitatus. A senator, a tale so wild it might be true, or a vicious jab at Rome's elite. Picture the chamber. Toga-clad senators bow their faces tight as a horse's neigh echoes real or imagined. You hear the creak of benches, see torchlight flicker on marble as whispers spread. Is this a prank or madness? Caligula's grin, sharp as a blade, suggests he relishes their squirming. Sarcasm stings a horse in the Senate Rome's wildest political stunt yet. Whether fact or fiction, the story mocks the senator's power, reducing them to stable hands in his game. You feel the eerie chill of a court where reason frays, where a snort outranks a vote. What an analogy. It's like a reality show where a pet steals the spotlight and everyone's too scared to object. Caligula's move, true or not, paints a Rome teetering on absurdity's edge. Know a time when a joke became a legend. Drop it in the comments and let's unravel the chaos. You're in Rome. 40 CE, where the air hums with incense and madness, and Emperor Caligula declares himself a living god, his eyes glinting with a fervour that chills the spine. Picture the scene, temples glow with torchlight, their marble carved with his name, as he demands worship from senators who tremble under togas. You smell the smoky offerings, hear the uneasy chants of priests forced to honour a man whose whims rewrite reality. His divine delusion ties to his eccentricity's lavish stables for his horse incitatus and decrees that blur jest and insanity. Sarcasm cuts divine or just deranged with a crown to match the city pulses with fear, as if the gods themselves might recoil from this mortal's arrogance. You feel the heat of braziers see his statue loom larger than Jupiter's, modern parallel. It's like a CEO branding themselves a deity, their ego trending while the boardroom quakes. Caligula's claim isn't just vanity, it's a power play daring Rome to defy him. The air grows heavy as if the heavens watch waiting for his fall. Know someone who thought they were untouchable, share it below and let's mock the hubris. It's 39 CE and you're in Caligula's palace where Rome's decadent court drowns in excess, so surreal it feels like a fever dream. Picture the scene. Wine-soaked air chokes you, golden platters overflow with peacock and flamingo while musicians play over nervous laughter. You see Caligula, his grin sharp as a dagger, toasting his horse incitatus, as senators sip from goblets, their eyes darting. The hall glitters with marble and madness. Every feast a stage for his whims, rumours of senatorial horses, divine decrees, or executions on a whim. Sarcasm stings a party scene gone dictator level where the guest of honour might be equine. You hear silk rustle, smell perfume masking fear as Rome's elite play along to survive. Modern analogy. It's like a reality show where the host's unhinged and everyone's too scared to change the channel. The court's excess isn't just indulgence, it's a mirror to Rome's fraying soul, where power teeters on absurdity's edge. What's the wildest party you've heard of, where chaos ruled? Drop it in the comments and let's revel in the decadence you're in Rome decades after Caligula's death, where the air smells of old parchment and the weight of rewritten truths. Historians like Suetonius with quills sharp as daggers spin tales of the emperor's madness. Incitatus, as senator divine, claims decadent feasts into a legend that haunts history. Picture a dimly lit scriptorium, ink drips like blood, each word crafting a Caligula more monster than man. You hear the scratch of reeds, see shadows flicker, as Suetonius paints a horse in the Senate, perhaps, truth perhaps, slander to damn a dead emperor. Sarcasm bites gossip Roman style, turning rumours into eternal fact. Was Incitatus really a senator, or was it a jab to mock Caligula's reign? The historian's spin blurs the line, making myth as real as marble. You feel the eerie suspense as if Rome's ghosts whisper competing truths. Modern analogy. It's like a viral expose, half true, shaping a legacy for clicks. Suetonius's words, laced with scorn, cement Caligula as madness incarnate his horse, a symbol of a city's decay. What's a story you've seen, twisted by the teller? Share it below and let's unravel the spin. It's 41 CE and you're in Rome's blood-stained streets, where Caligula's reign ends in a flash of daggers, his madness cut short by betrayal. Picture the scene, his palace once alive with decadent feast now echoes with his final scream, the air thick with iron and fear. You see his body fall, hear whispers of relief as senators and guards turn on their god. Incitatus. His horse stands silent in its marble stable, a relic of a reign that mocked Rome's soul. Sarcasm stings his rule, a reality show cancelled by steel. The city exhales, but his legacy horse senator divine delusions lingers like a curse. You feel the chill of a Rome reborn, yet scarred its streets whispering of his end. Modern parallel, it's like a tyrant's downfall, trending with memes of his excess outliving him. Caligula's fall isn't just death, it's a warning of power's fragility, of madness unchecked. His name once feared becomes a cautionary tale haunting Rome's marble halls. Know a downfall that echoed through time. Drop it in the comments and let's reflect on the ruin. Imagine a muddy street in 14th century London, where the air chokes with smoke and the reek of tanning hides. You're in a noblewoman's hall, its walls draped with tapestries that cost less than her true treasure, a wooden box locked tight holding 6 metal needles. Each one gleams like a shard of moonlight hand-forged by a blacksmith who'd sooner sell his soul than botch the job. These aren't just tools, they're power wealth, a dynasty stitched into slivers of iron. Lose one, and you're not just out of sewing aid, you're kissing your status goodbye. The Lady Eleanor sweeps past you, her silk gown whispering envy. She opens the box at her feast, and the room falls silent. Merchants, knights, even the priest lean closer, eyes glinting like thieves. 6 needles each, a fortune lie on velvet, their points sharp enough to pierce ambition. More precious than diamonds, she boasts, voice dripping with pride. You'd laugh, but the math checks out. A single needle could buy a cow, maybe 2. Diamonds pretty but useless when winter's clawing at your rags. You catch a servant's glance, her hands raw from scrubbing pots. She'd kill for one of those needles, not for vanity but survival. Mending a cloak could mean another month without frostbite. Yet here's Eleanor, flaunting them like a peacock, her guests green with want. One night Sir Roger brags he'd trade his warhorse for a 7th. Madness, you think, but his eyes are dead serious. A horse dies, a needle endures sowing futures. The air shifts heavy with whispers. Someone mentions the curse-old gossip about a needle that pricked its owner and brought plague. Eleanor scoffs, but her fingers hesitate over the box. You notice the smallest needle, its tip faintly tarnished, like it's seen too much. The firelight flickers, and for a heartbeat it seems to hum low and wrong. Superstition sure, but in a world where a lost pin could bankrupt a family who's laughing, Eleanor locks the box, her smile tight. The feast resumes, but the needles linger in everyone's mind sharper than the daggers on their belts. You step outside the street's muck, sucking at your boots. A tailor hurries past, clutching a borrowed needle like it's his child. One slip and he's done. Welcome to a world where a speck of iron outshines a gem and every stitch feels like a gamble with fate. So what's creepier, the obsession, or the fact you're starting to get it? Share your weirdest history fact bet, it can't top this. You're in a cramped workshop in Paris, 1372, where the air's thick with wool dust and desperation. Thomas the tailor, a wiry man with haunted eyes, kneels on the floor, sifting through scraps like a man possessed. His needle, his only needle borrowed from a merchant's wife, is gone. Not misplaced, not dropped, but gone like it sprouted legs and fled. His hands shake clammy as the Seine's banks, because losing it means ruin. That needle's worth more than his shop, his tools, his name. The street outside hums with market chatter, but inside it's just Thomas and his dread. He checks the floorboards, the candle wax, even his own sleeves, as if the needle's playing a cruel jest. It's not just a tool. It's his livelihood, the key to mending cloaks for lords who don't tip. Without it, he's no tailor, just another beggar in a city that chews up the poor. He pictures the merchant's wife, her lips curled in scorn, demanding repayment he can't afford. A cow. 2. He'd have to sell his kids. You hear the crowd before you see them, neighbours, drawn by gossip faster than flies to rot. Lost his needle, they whisper, half pity, half glee. In this world, a tailor's shame is public sport, like a hanging but slower. Thomas crawls under his table, splinters biting his knees, praying for a glint of iron. Nothing. His heart's a drum, each beat screaming debt, eviction, starvation. Modern life's got its glitches, lose your phone, your job's toast, but this is a crypto crash medieval style. A memory gnaws at him last night, stitching by candlelight, the needle felt off, heavy like it resented his grip. He'd heard tales of cursed needles, ones that slip away to punish the careless. Rubbish, he told himself, but now doubt creeps in cold as a crypt. The room feels smaller, the shadow sharper. Did the needle vanish, or did something take it? The door creaks. The merchant's wife looms her gaze ablade. My needle, she snaps. Thomas stammers, sweat beading like guilt. The crowd jeers and you wince, feeling the weight of a world where a sliver of metal holds more sway than a man's life. He'll beg, borrow, maybe steal, but the needle's gone and with it his future. Next time you thread a needle, check it twice. Might be cursed. Got a weirder tale, spill it. Step into a frostbitten market square in 14th century York where the clang of blacksmiths drowns out the hawkers' cries. You're shoulder to shoulder with peasants and merchants all gawking at Sir Baldwin, a grizzled knight whose chainmail clinks like a purse of coins. He's not here for ale or a new blade. Know this fool's trading his warhorse, a beast worth a small village, for a single needle polished to a wicked gleam. The crowd murmurs, half scoffing, half awed. A horse for a pin, madness, you think, but in this world a needle's sharper than any sword. Baldwin stands tall, his face carved with scars and stubborn pride. The needle rests in the merchant's palm, a sliver of iron that could mend a lord's cloak or stitch a peasant's hope against winter. It's a fair deal, Baldwin growls, handing over the reins of his steed, its breath steaming in the chill. The horse, a loyal beast that carried him through mud and blood, snorts as it's led away. You wince, picturing the battles it won. But Baldwin's eyes are locked on the needle like it's a holy relic. The merchant, a sly fox with a grin too wide, tucks the needle into a velvet pouch. Wise choice, he says, but the crowd's laughter stings. A knight without a horse is a jester ballad waiting to be sung in taverns. Yet some onlookers nod, knowing a needle's weight. It's not just thread it pulls, it's power, the kind that keeps families clothed, debts paid, futures sown. You'd trade your phone for a charger in a blackout. Baldwin's just playing the medieval version. As he takes the needle, Baldwin's fingers brush its point, and you swear it hums low and wrong like a plucked string in a silent room. The market's din fades for a heartbeat. He shakes it off, but you catch his glance, doubt, maybe fear. Whispers float through the crowd, cursed needles, ones that prick more than skin. In a world where a lost pin could spark ruin, who's to say? The merchant's already counting his new horse's worth, oblivious or uncaring. Baldwin strides off the needle, tucked close his pride, a fragile shield. The crowd parts, some mocking, others envious. You're left in the square, the air sharp with frost and greed. A needle outshines a warhorse, absurd, yet here you are, half convinced. It's not just iron, it's survival status, a thread through time. Got a crazier trade from history. Drop it below, this one's hard to beat. You're in a dim, stone-walled manor in 14th century Bruges, where candlelight dances on a family's grim ritual. The matriarch Agnes lies dying, her breath rattling like loose coins. Around her bed, her kin clutch a wooden box, its carvings worn smooth by generations. Inside, a single needle passed down through wills like a crown, each transfer sealed with chants to ward off its curse. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's a legacy, a blade of fate that could stitch fortune or unravel lives. Agnes's voice, frail but sharp, commands the box opened. Her daughter Marjorie trembles as she lifts the lid, revealing the needle on a scrap of linen. It's unremarkable, its tip dulled by years, yet the room feels heavier, the air thick with wax and dread. You stand in the shadows, an outsider, but even you feel the weight. This needle mended cloaks for lords, saved winters, built the family's name. But whispers cling to it, a great uncle, who pricked his thumb and died, raving a cousin whose crops failed after losing it. Coincidence, try telling that to the priest muttering prayers in the corner. Marjorie's tasked with inheriting it, her hands clammy as she takes the needle. The family chants old words about binding luck and banishing spirits. You catch a flicker in the candlelight like the needle's shadow twitches and your skin crawls. Superstition's a plague here as real as the rats in the walls. Agnes grips Marjorie's wrist, warning her guard it or it guards you. The curse isn't spelled out bad luck, death ruin, but everyone knows. Losing it's not an option. It's a debt no one can pay. You think of heirlooms today, grandmas ring a dusty watch. Harmless, right? But this needle's a medieval crypto wallet. One crash from catastrophe. The family's wealth, their standing hangs on a thread. Marjorie tucks it away, her face pale, already haunted. The priest sprinkles holy water, but the room's still cold, the needle's presence louder than Agnes's fading breaths. As you slip out, the manor's silence chokes you. A needle cursed or not rules this house. Got a creepier family heirloom story, share it, this one's stitching nightmares. You're elbow deep in a chaotic market in 14th century Rouen, where the air's a stew of sweat, fish and desperation. Stalls grown under cabbages and iron pots, but the real action's at a corner where a wiry trader Gilles hawks a single needle like it's the Holy Grail. It glints on a scrap of cloth, its point sharp enough to pierce dreams. The crowd merchants, tailors, even a nun with shifty eyes buzzes like flies shouting bids that could buy a flock of sheep. In this world, a needle's not just a tool, it's a ticket to power, and everyone's itching to cash in. Gilles is all grins, and Grease holds the needle aloft, milking the frenzy. Forged by Master Henri himself, he crows though you'd bet he nicked it from a drunk tailor. A burly merchant offers a cow, a tailor counters with 2. You're shoved aside as a scuffle breaks out, fists flying over a sliver of iron. It's Black Friday medieval style, imagine trampling grannies for a PS5 but dirtier. Someone's nose